Hey everyone, XMXHQ here, and today we're going to be going over the Week 2 patch notes for the PTS for Update 40 coming on October 30th for PC and November 14th for console. This says The Elder Scrolls Online v 9.2.1 contains a number of fixes and adjustments, with the majority being for Endless Archive. Including some initial adjustments for class sets, we've also adjusted the prices for Golden Vendor and adjusted the achievement requirement to purchase a Grandmaster crafting station. During this week, we'll also be testing out the New Life Festival event, and the size of the patch is roughly 328 megabytes. Scroll on down here, we're going to be covering the event testing first. So the New Life Festival is back. Escape slushy highways and stress of your workday by throwing mud balls at your friends. Per tradition, the first New Life quest you complete each day will reward you 3 event tickets, and complete New Life quest will award you a New Life Festival box. This box contains an assortment of crafting materials and toys, along with a chance for motif pages, style pages, furnishings, or special charity writs, Deep Winter or Imperial. Added to the festival boxes this year are a chance to get a tradable page of the Morningstar Frostwear outfit style. If you've already earned a Morningstar Frostwear page that day, boxes can instead offer pages of last year's Evergreen armor style. This year offers a new grab bag, appropriately titled the New Life Festival Grab Bag. This bag contains a collectible or memento you don't already possess from the following. There's a little list on screen there. We can get the Mud Ball Pouch, Nordic Bather's Towel, Colovian Fur Hood, Colovian Filgrade Hood, Sword Swallower's Blade, Juggler's Knives, Fire Breather's Torches, Snowball Buddy Pet, and the Powder White Coney Pony. Last but not least, the Impresario has all 2023's morphing collectible fragments for the Passion Dancer Blossom and its morphs, including the final fragment for the Horde Hunter Ursoc. She also offers bound pages for the Morningstar Frostwear armor style for 5 tickets each. Moving on here, now we got the combat and gameplay changes. So the item sets, the Monolith of Storms class set, which is for the Sorcerer, currently cannot critically strike despite scaling up with your offensive stats and having an ingrained bonus modifier. This is one of the reasons that I haven't tested any of the class sets yet or posted any reviews on them, just because I don't really think that there's much of a point until week 4 when most of the PTS cycle is kind of settled, because things are going to be changing between now and then. Too much to really be releasing a video on each one every single week. There are ongoing discussions on which route the set will go, either enabling critical strike or adding a self bonus modifier on the set. The Esoteric Environment Grieve Mythic currently does not properly mitigate damage for some attacks in Endless Archive. Moving on here, we got a few more combat and ability changes here. So they fixed a not so synergistic issue where some abilities that applied synergies, such as Imperfect Ring, could temporarily remove other effects from targets such as passives, Mundastones, or ESO+. Fixed an issue where some effects that required a target to be under a certain health threshold could still apply when they should not have, such as Honor the Dead, Cleansing Revival. This should correct the issues that last week's fix introduced, as well as the original issues that fix was attempting to fix. And we got some class changes here as well. So the Arcanist, Soldier of Apocrypha, Gibbering Shield, the Gibbering Shelter morph. This morph's ally targeted shield now can only trigger once every 4 seconds rather than once every second. There's a developer comment here. Let's go ahead and read that. So it says, the morph is currently enabling far more defensive power to allies than others of its ilk, such as Barrier or Magma Shell. So we're reducing the frequency of the shield refresh to counteract this. We'll continue to keep an eye on this morph over the update to see if we need to investigate further adjustments, as we are aware of its power in group play when multiple players are activating it simultaneously. Moving on here, we have an adjustment to Dragonknight, and this is a pretty big one here. So the Earth and Heart skill line, Magma Armor, Corrosive Armor morph. This morph now disables ultimate generation while the ability is active. So much like the Necromancer's Bone Daddy form, you are not going to be able to start regenerating your ultimate until Corrosive Armor is over. For a long time, we've been saying that DKs are going to be nerfed. It's just a matter of when and how. This could be a happy medium. You know, right now we have a lot of DKs, including one of the builds that are on the website, that are just basically living in corrosive armor at this point. And this is definitely a good way to keep the power of corrosive armor while also making it a bit more manageable on the receiving end of it. So let's go ahead and read the developer comment here. Corrosive armor has long been a potent ultimate for the Dragonknight at turning the tides in battle by offering both immense defensive and offensive capabilities, but has slowly been power crept as more sources of ultimate regeneration have entered the game over time. Cue Basalt-Blooded Warrior. To quell this, we're moving forward with the adjustment that will ensure the morph retains its stark power spike but remove the ability to keep the effect up for prolonged periods of time. Which is exactly the way to do it in my opinion. It did need to be adjusted, Dragonknights in general. This is a good first step. Next up here we have some changes to itemization and item sets. So the Basalt-Blooded Warrior set for the Dragonknight is being adjusted. It says this set now grants Rock Stance for 10 seconds after activating an Earth and Heart ability, down from 20 seconds, but it no longer has a cooldown. So now you do need to activate an Earth and Heart ability every 10 seconds to keep Rock Stance, which is fine because now we can just use something like Fragmented Shield, keep our shields up, then we still get Minor Brutality, and then we also get Rock Stance while wearing the set. They also removed the Minor Heroism effect from Molten Stance, which is active while on your front bar. You still get the Major Heroism, so as long as they only remove the Minor Heroism, you can still use Heroism Potions. So you'll get Stamina, Magicka, and Minor Heroism every time you drink a potion. And they updated the tooltip wording to use more consistent language with other effects and help entries in the game. Let's go ahead and read the developer comment here. So before the PTS reveal of this set, we deliberated whether or not this set's bonuses were too strong while on your primary weapon set, front ability bar, and we ultimately decided to push it to get feedback. We're seeing a lot of the same thoughts in your feedback, so we're toning down those bonuses. Additionally, we've made the set a lot friendlier to use with more frequent ability usage, while making the set less passive to ensure the bonuses feel more justified in their power. Moving on here, the Monolith of Storms, they fixed an issue where the tooltip did not properly mention that damage scales with your weapon and spell damage. Nobility and Decay, which is the Necromancer set, you may now tether to yourself when Beautiful Corpse is active, causing you to deal the effects of the tether ability in a small radius around you, similarly to how there would be a smaller radius around the corpse you tether to normally, but with the advantage that it moves with you. So something like Mortal Coil, now you can actually tether to yourself, so you can regenerate your stamina and heal people around you just by, I guess, consuming yourself. Alrighty, now we have the Reawakened Hierophant, which is the Arcanist class set. Fix an issue where this set did not properly work with Reconstructed Domain, Remedy Cascade and its morphs, or Chakram Shield and its morphs. Fix an issue where this set would apply an empty buff in your buff tray. And this set now offers 731 Magicka and Stamina for 2, 3, and 4 piece set bonuses rather than only 1096 Magicka for each to properly reinforce the hybrid potential of the class. Now you're going to see Stamina Arcanist healers being able to gravitate towards this set. Not that I'm sure many of those exist, but if you're one of them, fantastic day for you. The tooltip now properly mentions it does not activate off the Curative Rune form ultimates and describes the effects of the major and minor buffs granted. And the Soul Cleaver class set, which is the Nightblades class set, updated this set's tooltip to mention that the Siphoning ultimate does not gain the damage or healing increase since you spend your ultimate upon activation, putting you under its requirements of 20 ultimate to gain the set's effect. Alrighty, so now we're on to some of the bigger ones here. We have some fixes and adjustments to Endless Archive. So in general, they fixed an issue where you could get into a state which no monsters are spawning, you could not progress. This must be a little bit of a rare one because I have played a lot of Endless Archive and I haven't come across this myself yet. And you will always be directed to Archive Portal correctly, regardless of the quests currently tracked. All players will now be teleported to the index correctly once all Threads of Fate have been depleted, and the portal to the Endless Archive index will now always be visually complete. Reordered the visual representation of progress from stage cycle arc to arc cycle stage. The summary screen after completing a run now allows you to click F5 to close, with the mouse to close summary. The achievements Archive's Finest now correctly requires encountering all 13 enemy factions rather than 10. Updated the names of multiple achievements. Fixed some capitalization errors with some titles. Master Malchest will now properly study a book rather than the palm of his hand. That's an interesting hand you have there, Master Malchest. Reawakened Hierophant chess pieces now have proper icons. Made some adjustments to prevent you from purchasing more bound collectible fragments than are necessary to complete the achievements. Tradable collectible fragments such as those for the public dungeon collectibles can still be purchased after completing the achievement for trading or reselling. And updated the tooltip for the Archival Fortunes Purse and Archival Fortunes Container quest rewards. Moving on to the currency and rewards changes, you will no longer receive white or green items, generic potions, or other miscellaneous loot from Monument chests, GW the Pilferer, or Marauders in Endless Archive. Instead, you will only receive archival fortunes, gold, companion gear when companions are active, thematic treasures, soul gems, and repair kits as part of the general loot from all sources. Endless Archive merchants no longer refuse service to vampire players, and adjusted the pricing for curated class sets, containers, and account upgrades. So we're planning to make additional adjustments to archival fortunes, currency, and vendor prices as we make balance changes to the Endless Archive experience. And they fixed an issue where Thoat Replicanum would not reward the proper amount of archival fortunes on Arc 10 or higher. Next up, we have some changes to Verses and Visions. So fixed some resizing issues with Mora's Boon window. Mora's Boons now correctly show all Verses and Visions acquired throughout a run once the run is completed. Fixed graphical issues with the display of Verses and Visions in the Mora's Boon window. The verse selection tentacle will now always appear aligned to the ground. The Mighty Bash and Gilded Slight verses now correctly benefit from the Ghostly Gratitude collectible. Reduce the damage of the Swift Gale verse. Fixed and clarified the tooltip for the Resolute Mind division. The Ferocious Fortification vision no longer displays multiple stacks on its tooltip. Adjusted the visual effects for the eye-catching verse. Filer Core's True Sight collectible now correctly provides 3 vision choices when acquired. The Sweeter Deal collectible no longer incorrectly provides 3 vision choices. Random verse consumables are no longer available on certain daily quest rewards. Portals to the Unknown. Portals to the Unknown will now always appear when intended. You will no longer be offered duplicate verses in the Portals to the Unknown. Your abilities will now always be changed when transformed to a Watcher or Goat. You will no longer receive an erroneous message for completing Portals to the Unknown when you fail to do so. Added a center screen message to the Echoing Den to indicate when time is running out. Vampire players no longer need to eat an additional sweet roll in order to defeat the butchers in Hayful's Butchery. Added a visual telegraph to Aramarill's domain in Theater of War. Amarill no longer displays an erroneous talk to prompt when approached quickly in Theater of War. Stages. Your character no longer has a chance to inadvertently teleport from within the fight space of certain stages. Fix an issue with environmental visuals not appearing correctly in certain areas of Endless Archive. Dwarven Centurions now have a chance to join other Dwarven constructs. Cryomancers can no longer target players' pets with the Glaciate ability. Cycle Bosses. Master Malchest will now appear and move appropriately when encountered after cycle bosses have been defeated. Void Mother Elgrolith now correctly scales with the current arc. Zajhasa, the Forgotten's Dark Monolith, will now always protect your character from Void Explosion. That fucked us up over a couple of times trying to hide behind one of the pillars during that fight and we just die anyway. Yolnakrin's Death will no longer stall progression in Endless Archive, and the Flame Atronox will no longer form a pool of lava upon death. Adjusted the visual effects for the Curse of Suffering and Curse of Dominance in the encounter with Hytkin Lord Rillis. And Kalurian will now always properly create his totems when engaged. Moving on to the Arc Boss Thoat Replicanum. Master Malchest will now properly announce that you have arrived in Thoat's Replicanum Sanctuary before instructing you to approach. Master Malchest will now always use his portal to leave the fight space after defeating Thoat Replicanum. Glass Tendrils will now have a visual telegraph for the Glittering Scrap ability. Splintering Mirror will no longer create mirror shards when struck by the Necrotic Orb ability. Splintering Mirror is now easier to see when not the primary target of Thoat. The damage shield provided by Splintering Mirror will now scale with Thoat's health. The Foraging Breath ability will now always target the ground as intended from Thoat's dragon form. Player heals can no longer heal invisible targets. Exploration and itemization. Reduce the prices of the wares from the Golden Vendor. Please note that there will be pricing discrepancy for her wares between console and PC players until Update 40 launches for consoles on November 14th. The Overland Jewelry will now cost 125,000 gold or 225,000 AP. The Overland Jewelry is actually down 25,000 gold and 75,000 AP. Dungeon Jewelry will now cost 200,000 gold or 375,000 AP, which is down from 250,000 gold and 500,000 AP. Masks and shoulders will remain the same at 100,000 gold and 200,000 AP. And that's all the important changes for week 2 of the ESO PTS patch notes. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video or found it informative, leave a like and let me know what you think down in the comments. Get subscribed if you're new. And again, thank you all for supporting me on YouTube, Twitch, and the website. Links are in the video description. Take care all.